Good day everyone. Welcome to this our mathematics lesson. For today's lesson, we'll be doing geometry. I encourage you to stay tuned as we go through some geometry terms. Let's take a look at our objective for this lesson. By the end of the lesson, pupils will be able to identify and describe a point, a line segment, a simple closed path, an angle, and a right angle. I know that is a mouthful for you. Now we'll be taking them bit by bit. Pay attention. Let's begin with a point. What is a point? A point is a basic term used in geometry. It is used to identify an exact location in space. It is often represented as a dot on a piece of paper. It is usually identified with a capital letter or number. It has no length or width. For example, the point X as shown here. Now that we have looked at the meaning or definition for a point, let's see if we can look at some on our screen. On screen, you will notice several points. Point X, point Y, point O, point P, point R, and point T. We have just identified 6 points. Each of those were represented by a dot. Now we'll be looking at what is a line. Let's take a look. A line is a combination of several points extending in both directions continuously. A line can be straight or curved. It has no ends. Here we have a combination of points. If you look closely, we could also add some more points here, and when you add them closer, you'll notice that you have created a line as illustrated. It's a combination of several points extending in both directions. Now let's take a look at some examples of lines. If you notice, we have a green line extending in both directions, a pink line extending in both directions, a yellow line extending in both directions. Now, boys and girls, the arrows at the end tells you that that line is extending in both directions. Let's continue. Now we're going to look at what is a line segment. A line segment is a part of a line that is bounded by two distinct endpoints and contains every point on the line between its endpoints. For example, here we have 3 line segments. Line segment AB. The point at the end tells that that line segment is labeled AB. Line segment XY and line segment PQ. A line segment is really a part of a line. Here we have an example. It is named by 2 points on the line. This can be called line segment AB or line segment BA. You can read it both ways. It is read as line AB or BA and written as AB or BA with a little segment above the letters. Now, let's see if you can identify the terms we just covered. What name is given to the following? A, B, and C. A is a line. B is a line segment. And at C, a point. I hope you got all of those correct. Let's now move on and look at a path. What is a path? The distance traveled along a line is considered a path. It can be curved, straight, closed, or open. Here we have examples of curved and straight paths. Here we have examples of closed and open paths. Now that we have looked at those, let's find out what is a simple closed path. A simple closed path is one in which the starting point connects with the ending point. Here we have 3 examples of simple closed paths. The starting point in each of these connects with the ending point. Let's move on. What kind of path are these? We're now going to look at what is a ray. A ray starts at a point and continues in one direction. For example, the beam of a flashlight starts at a point where the flashlight is and continues in one direction. Here on screen we have 2 rays illustrated. A ray has an arrow at one end. That tells you it continues in one direction. Now we're going to look at what is an angle. Angles are formed where 2 lines intersect or meet. The point where they meet is called the vertex. Angles are measured in degrees. Here we have 2 angles illustrated. The point where these 2 rays meet is called the vertex. Now today we'll be looking at a special angle. It is the right angle. Let's look at what is a right angle. A right angle or square corner measures 90 degrees. This very important angle is usually shown by a little square as highlighted on the diagrams below. Now we're going to take a look at some shapes and some letters, and we're going to see if you can identify where we could find right angles in these shapes. How many right angles can you identify on these letters and shapes? Do you think we have any right angle on the letter P? What about the letter T? Look carefully at the letter H. Talk about this with your friends. What about the letter O? Let's look at the shapes. How many right angles do you think are on these shapes? On the green shape, that is a square. How many right angles do you think is within the square? What about the triangle? I hope you'll discuss this with your teacher and classmates. Let's move on. Now that we have looked at a point, a line segment, a ray, an angle, and a right angle, let's now take a look at some pictures and see if we can identify any of these geometric terms from the pictures. I'm sure you were able to identify those terms we looked at from the pictures you saw. Now, I want for you to identify any other objects or places in your home or school environment where you can find right angles, points, lines, line segments, rays, and paths. Talk about them with your teacher and have fun doing this. Let's review our objective. Did we identify and describe a point? We did. A line? We did. Line segment? Of course we did. A simple closed path? We did. An angle and a right angle? We certainly did. I know you are now able to identify these as you move around in your environment. Remember, maths is fun. Continue to do it in a fun way. See you next time around.